Hello and welcome to Ann Talks, the recording for nurses by nurses. I'm Bordelon, your host for today's recording. Today I'd like to spend a little time talking about meeting with the leadership or meeting with employees. You can look at it from two different angles. So we'll spend a little bit of time talking about how that can be a challenge or a barrier, but also how it can be a great rewarding experience for both parties involved in the conversation. So let's talk about it a little bit from this angle. So as an employee, as a nurse, we often, if we ever get an email or a phone call or someone catches a leadership member or management member catches us in the hallway, said, hey, you have a little time. I want to sit down and talk to you for a few minutes. And a lot of times it's a very reflexive response where you get anxiety because you think something's gone wrong, there's some issue. There's an immediate sort of stigma sometimes associated with that. And that can be very common and prevalent when it comes to high acute areas, such as a neonatal intensive care, such as a level 4 NICU, such as transport services and so forth. So it's just a sort of that natural space to get in that can make you very sort of uncomfortable whenever leadership or management says, hey, I need to spend a little time with you. Can we get together? Especially also if it doesn't happen very often. So we're going to talk about it from the leadership side in just a moment, but I want to spend, like I said, some time kind of how can you get past that? How can you get past that immediate reflexive anxiety place and make it more about a positive, oh, well, maybe they want to recognize me for this, or maybe they just want to sit and talk and see how things are going. Be understanding that a lot of times from leadership and management's perspectives, there's time constraints, and it may not be available that the leaders and the managers to have time to sit with you on a regular basis. And like I said, we're going to talk about it from that side in just a minute. But it's not a bad thing, and certainly not out of possibility for you to ask, hey, great, I'm happy to meet with you. Is there anything that we want to talk about in particular? Because what you can do is if you ask that investigatory question, if you can ask for a little more clarity on what that meeting could be about, it sets away that anxiety because that's the fear of the unknown. So now what you've done is say, hey, tell me what you want to meet about so I'm prepared. That helps enormously when it comes to reducing your stress related to that event. And it may be very much so, hey, I want to get to know your skill set. I want to get to know how things are going in the neonatal intensive care. So from the leadership standpoint, that's where the leaders can be very articulate and very forthcoming with, hey, you know what? There's been a lot of great positive things. I want to meet with you maybe sometime during this week so we can talk more about it. When the leaders and the managers then ask the question about meeting with an employee very early on, they ask it and they also provide a little extra information that helps reduce the employee's anxiety. So what we've done here is we've talked about communication from both sides. When a manager meets you and asks a very straightforward question and you are a little curious and anxious about it, you can ask, hey, can you give me a little more information on that? Then what happens is you reduce that anxiety and open that door to a much more positive experience with that meeting. From a manager or leader side is make sure that as you approach that employee, give them a little bit more information. Get them involved and engaged. So let's talk about some ways that you can even prevent that even further is have regular meetings with employees. Make it a mentoring experience for all of your employees. So for large neonatal ICUs, you might have hundreds of employees. So consider a focus group meeting. Or if you want to have individual meetings, maybe you have an assistant manager or leader that can be part of that process. Maybe you can have champions that are high performers within your unit that you can have little focus meetings to say, hey, we just want to check in and see how things are going. But if you have the regular experience, they have regular staff meetings, okay? But staff meetings can be quite painful, if you will, because it can be that, hey, these couple of positive things, but there's all these other things that we need to fix. So frame it from the management standpoint or the leadership standpoint. Let's just dedicate that time for positive feedback. Let's dedicate some time to give back to those employees to help keep them motivated. Consider it not being in the unit. Why can't you have an out of office type of experience where you can have, hey, we just want to meet downstairs in the lobby area or in some space that you can have a conversation with your employees, not open to all the patients and families, but have a different space off of the neonatal intensive care unit. Maybe there's a coffee shop or some sort of cafeteria type meeting room that you can have the meeting with a group of 3 or 4 or 5 employees. The key is change the scenery a little bit. If all they see is the same scenery over and over and over, that adds to the burnout, because now what we've done is add another layer of responsibility to those employees. Okay? Give your focused attention to the people. Give your focused attention to all the employees and management to really let them get that feedback to you. Okay? What about that routine feedback? Like we just talked about, is that constant feedback and communication. Performance excellence. Make sure that give that feedback to those high performers. Why? Because it motivates them to give back to other employees. Then what you've done is you've had a collective. All of the employees are now seeing that action, that positive feedback in action. Okay. Be deliberate with your conversation. Be cognizant of time, but also make sure you probably give them an agenda that keeps everybody on track. So there's a lot of resources out there. There's a lot of things that can give you additional feedback, additional guidance, gives you different additional tools whenever you're having a conversation with leadership, or the other direction when you're in the leadership role having conversation with employees. Okay. So I hope this recording has been helpful to kind of spark your interest in learning certain things. We have the leadership toolkit that is a very effective tool when it comes to giving you a lot more resources and a lot more guidance, a lot more learning opportunities on leadership, communication, and management, how to talk to employees, how to talk to leadership as well. So that is available to you through the website. As you log in, you can go through your CNE activities and then select courses, and you'll see your leadership toolkit. So I hope this has been very helpful, and I look forward to hearing from you next time on Ann Talks.